Good morning and happy Friday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Friday. Happy Friday again. And again and again and again. I'm so happy today is Friday. Welcome to Ungoverned. We're ready to rock and roll here on this Friday. It's going to be a big one. A massive, look, how many times have we said it in the past? Black Lives Matter was a money laundering operation. Or at the very least, maybe not money laundering, but the money that you were donating, I'm not saying you didn't donate to Black Lives Matter, but the money that was being donated to Black Lives Matter wasn't actually going to help anybody black or with black lives or all the bail funds. Remember they said the bail funds, we're going to raise money for bail funds, and I told you so just doesn't quite say it, does it? This story about the Black Lives Matter leader in Oklahoma City is it's par for the course, isn't it? I'd say it's par for the course. So we're going to talk a lot about that today because what you're seeing is it's something that we told you was possible when it was going on. And I know, I'm not the only one who said it. But this woman with Black Lives Matter in Oklahoma City has been indicted in a just massive fraud scheme. Massive fraud scheme. So we will get to that. We'll get to the there is an article in the New York Post talking about the charges, and then there's also the official Department of Justice Western District of Oklahoma press release that talks about the charges. We also have very, very, very interesting story out of Utah. Well, it's not interesting. It's pertinent though. It's pertinent. I wouldn't say it's necessarily interesting. It's interesting in that we got a good result in that Charlie Kirk assassination trial or hearing yesterday. It's obviously not stopping people from doing what they do. How about the alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, smirking in court yesterday? How about that? Gross. Just gross. And apparently his lawyers admonished him for that because that ain't going to play well with the jury. Not showing any remorse, etc. We also have a very important story out of Colorado. And this is going to set up a very interesting legal situation. Donald Trump issued a full pardon to Tina Peters. Tina Peters is not being held in prison on federal charges. So is the pardon largely symbolic? Is the pardon being used to pressure the state of Colorado to release Tina Peters? Or is this all about really getting a ruling on the scope and the range and the authority of the presidential pardon power? Is that what this is about too? Or is it a mixture of all of those things? We're going to get into all of it because the pardon situation in Colorado with Tina Peters is interesting. And I saw people saying, Tina Peters is free. Well, no, she's not. No, she's not. The state of Colorado right now is the only one who can do anything about it, so they say. So they say. We will see. And again, this is going to wind up most likely going, it could go to the Supreme Court, where there's a ruling on what a president's, how far a president's pardon can actually reach. So we'll see. And does this tie into the auto pen pardons? Right? one way or the other, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about this case. But Tina Peters, yes, was given a pardon by Donald Trump. But does that do anything? Does that matter? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. And also a wild story out there in Washington State regarding non-citizens and CDLs. We'll also be doing phone calls second half of the show at 631-527-4545. The lead story of the day is going to be this Black Lives Matter Oklahoma City leader. And again, we were watching the donations in 2020 coming in. You go to blacklivesmatter.com, right? Or .org or whatever website it was. You want to donate because you want to feel good. You post a picture of your receipt. And I donated to Black Lives Matter. But what does it do? It redirected you. Which fundraising? Let's see. Pop quiz in the chat. Let's think back 2020. It's 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Which fundraising platform was used by Black Lives Matter to route funds to their organization? Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember? There it is. Dawn Biz has got it. Act Blue. Act Blue. There she is. She's got it. It was Act Blue. Act Blue was the platform that Black Lives Matter was using. Obviously, Act Blue is the Democrats' main fundraising platform. So was the DNC getting a cut of the money that Black Lives Matter was fundraising? It sure looks like it. Sure looks like it. Act Blue. Yeah, Act Blue. So we will get into all of what this leader in Oklahoma did, because we've seen this with Patrisse Cullors. We've seen this with other BLM leaders. BLM did not stand for Black Lives Matter for these people. It stood for Buy Large Mansions. And we will get into that entire indictment and the charges and the allegations against this leader because, oh, my goodness. Media is not going to want to touch this one. But before Denise9904 asks a good question. I don't understand why a president can't overrule a state on pardoning. It's a good question. Let's jump into that. Let's jump into that real quick. The reason why you may not want a president to be able to overrule a state when it comes to their justice system, pardons, charges, etc., is there needs to be a separate distinction between the authority of the states and the authority of the federal government. If you start, if you say that the president of the United States, of all 50 states, can overrule what one state wants regarding their justice system, you start to get kind of into monarchy territory. You start to kind of get close to that. There has to be some sort of separation between the federal government or bifurcation, right? There has to be some sort of distinction between both justice systems. So when because the president of the United States is a federal officer, not a state officer, right? And I think that's the point. The president of the United States is a federal officer. He occupies an office within the federal government. So therefore, he is the chief executive of the federal government. He is not the chief executive of a state government. And so that is really where the debate comes into, right? That is really where the debate leads. Can the chief executive officer of the federal government overrule the chief executive officer of a totally different governing entity, i.e. a state government in any state? And so that is why that is the debate here. Can the president overrule states? And the question is, why can't he? Well, because the way this system was set up and the very idea of federalism is the separation of state powers and government powers. The Constitution has the enumerated powers as well. Any powers not given to the federal government is given to the states. So it sets up a very interesting dynamic. And that is why, again, and I know I saw a lot of people celebrating the pardon of Tina Peters. It looks like it's either A, it's some symbolic, B, maybe for to pressure them into doing something. But I don't think, even if this goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, I do not believe that a federal pardon is going to absolve or relieve somebody held and detained in prison on state charges. And that's the issue that Tina Peters is facing right now. So we will see. We will see. Maggie 30 says, question, but isn't voting for president a federal election? Technically, yes, you're voting for somebody to occupy a federal office, but you're not actually directly voting for the presidential candidate, are you? You're not directly voting for the presidential candidate, right?
But I thought you were, because you marked Donald Trump.
Nope, but you don't elect Donald Trump. The Electoral College elects Donald Trump.
Of your state?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way presidential elections are held are such that it's 50 separate statewide elections, and your state, based off of the popular vote of the state, or in states like Nebraska and Maine, the popular vote of congressional districts, sends electors to the Electoral College, and they vote for president. So the citizens of the United States do not have a direct vote for president of the United States in presidential elections. It is an indirect vote.
I don't like that.
It is an indirect vote.
I feel like each vote should count.
Well, and it does count.
But only
it does count, but that's because if we take away the Electoral College, then you are essentially going into the national popular vote, and that's definitely not what you want, because then you have essentially 5 to 10 cities across the United States that determine which way elections go, which means you'll only see candidates campaigning in the best interests of places like New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dallas, Detroit, Atlanta, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Seattle, Portland, et cetera, so on and so forth, right? Boston. So when we vote for president, we are not directly electing our president. We are electing them by proxy, right? We are electing them through the Electoral College. We are telling the Electoral College and the electors that are sent to the Electoral College based off of the popular votes in our state how we want them to vote. It's more of this kind of representative democracy, kind of representative republic type deal. So to answer that question, isn't the presidential election a federal election? Well, yes, you're voting on a federal office, but you're not directly voting on a federal office. You're actually technically voting in a state election, where your state, based off of the results of that election, sends electors to the Electoral College to then finalize and actually elect the president of the United States. So there you go. There's kind of a little bit of a breakdown, and we'll get to a little bit more of that when we get to the Tina Peters story. Before we do that, I do want to get to a word from our friends over at, I see somebody in the X chat, Truth Teller at Trump Lions Den. Federal should always trump the state. No. And I'll say no for this reason. Think COVID, think Florida. Think COVID, think Florida. Federally, masks were mandated all over the place, right? You had to wear them in federal buildings. But Florida had their own rules, right? Kristi Noem didn't even shut down South Dakota when the federal guidelines were 15 days to slow the spread. That is why states' rights are so important. So important. Hey, I'll take it even a step further. I know in our chat there are a lot of marijuana enthusiasts. If federal always overrode the state, then there would be no recreational legal hemp, legal marijuana anywhere in the country. Okay? If federal overrode state, then you would not have a lot of these states with constitutional carry with regards to guns. So we have to be very careful when we say federal should always override the states, because in many cases we don't want that. We have 50 different, essentially independent states in this country for a reason. Right? So, think about it. The federal government, if it mandates an income tax, there are states that don't have an income tax at the state level. Does that change? But really, the most recent example is COVID. Florida was like, we're not playing along with this vaccine mandate game, mask mandate game, all of that, all the rules, the social distancing, all of this stuff. Florida said, we're not playing along. Georgia was one of the first states to reopen. Governor Kemp, don't love him, but he did a good job on that front, reopening Georgia before the federal government wanted them to reopen. South Dakota never shut down, and that is why it is important for states to be able to be independent and untethered in a way from the federal government. So I disagree that federal should always overrule state. We don't want that, because then you essentially live in a monarchy. We don't want that. Only the Constitution can have power over state law, but only if state law goes against the Constitution, as Wanda says, and that's true. And those laws that are unconstitutional have to be challenged in federal court, and rulings have to come through. It's a fascinating system, but again, we get a little in depth. We'll get there. We'll talk about the Tina Peters pardon as well in a little bit. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends over at OFP Farms. It's OFPFarms.com, OFPFarms.com, OFPFarms.com. Deck the halls with cheer from OFP Farms, where holiday gift sets are jingling and ready to impress. They are famous for their fabulous gift bundles, packing Santa's sleigh high and tight with goodies for every single budget. Hold on to your elf hats, because they're dropping a very merry surprise with not just a 5, not 10, not 15, but 20% Christmas discount. The sale is on, so scoop up those holiday gift sets today. Do it today, because we're getting close. Shipping is going to start to get real tight. Get it done now so you get your stuff in time. Scoop up the holiday gift sets, delightful treats for her, wellness treasures, and beard and bath marvels. Prance over to OFPFarms.com now. Supplies are rarer than snow in the tropics, and once they're gone forever. So hop on to OFPFarms.com, grab your 20% discount at OFP Farms. That is Oscar, Foxtrot, Papa Farms. It's OFPFarms.com. Use the promo code Sean. You see it right there on your screen. It is OFP, Oscar, Foxtrot, Papa Farms. OFPFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN. For 20% off for the Christmas season, for the month of December, OFPFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN for 20% off. All right, next up, a word from our friends over at Silent, SLNT.com/Sean. Let's face it, your phone is a tracking device between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even cyber criminals. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint, and they don't ask, they just go on and take it. And by the way, you got a contest that you can win here on SLNT.com/Sean. Check it out. Silent exists to block those people from stealing your data. They make Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals like cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal means no tracking, no remote access, and no breadcrumbs. It's the same technology trusted by special operations teams worldwide, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now, all that technology is available to you, so you can protect your family, so you can protect your freedom, and you can secure your digital footprint. Just drop your phone in a silent Faraday sleeve, and it is off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbodies, Silent gives you direct control and total control of your privacy. Just visit SLNT.com/Sean to get 15% off and free shipping on qualifying orders. That is SLNT.com/Sean, SHAWN. Protect your rights, secure your data, and stay one step ahead. Silent, SLNT.com, Silent.com, SLNT.com. Silence the chaos and go silent today. Go silent today. All right, here we go. Let's get into this wild story. BLM Oklahoma City. The leader has been charged with wire fraud and money laundering in an alleged $3.15 million embezzlement scheme. The executive director of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Oklahoma City was indicted for allegedly siphoning off more than $3 million in grants to bankroll luxury vacations, shopping sprees, groceries, a car, and 6 properties over 5 years, federal prosecutors announced on Thursday. Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson, 52 years old, was slapped with 20 wire fraud counts and 5 money laundering charges. I didn't do nothing. Oh, looks like you did a lot. For funneling $3.15 million meant for the group's bail fund and social justice programs into her own accounts between June of 2020 and October of 2025, according to the DOJ. The DOJ has this really amazing press release here. Western District of Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. Western District of Oklahoma, Executive Director of Black Lives Matter, OKC, charged with wire fraud and money laundering. This is the Department of Justice's own press release about this case. Oklahoma City federal grand jury indictment has been unsealed, charging Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson, 52 years old, of Oklahoma City with wire fraud and money laundering, announced U.S. Attorney Robert J. Troster. According to the indictment, beginning in at least 2016, Dickerson served as the executive director of Black Lives Matter OKC. As executive director, Dickerson had access to BLM OKC's bank, PayPal, and Cash App accounts. The indictment alleges that although BLM OKC was not a registered tax-exempt organization under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code, it accepted charitable donations through its affiliation with the Alliance for Global Justice, based in Arizona. AFGJ served as a fiscal sponsor to BLM OKC and required BLM OKC to use its funds only as permitted by Section 501c3. AFGJ also required BLM OKC to fully account upon request for the disbursement of all funds received and prohibited BLM OKC from using its funds to purchase real estate without AFGJ, the Alliance for Global Justice, consent. Beginning in late spring 2020, BLM OKC raised funds to support its social justice mission from online donors as well as from national bail funds. In total, BLM OKC raised more than $5.6 million, which included grants from national bail funds, including the Community Justice Exchange, Massachusetts Bail Fund, and Minnesota Freedom Fund. The Minnesota Freedom Fund, if you remember, and does anybody remember the Minnesota Freedom Fund? And who came out in favor of the Minnesota Freedom Fund? Do you remember?
No.
Anybody remember?
I don't even remember what this is.
This is BLM OKC using money for the wrong purposes. Does anybody remember the Minnesota Freedom Fund and who stood in favor of that? Let's see if I have it. Let me see if I have it in here. Let's see. Does anybody remember the Minnesota Freedom Fund? Anybody? What that was? Who stood in solidarity with the Minnesota Freedom Fund? There it is. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. That was the one. She was the one helping them raise money to bail out the rioters. Interesting. So the Minnesota Freedom Fund that Kamala Harris essentially endorsed was contributing to BLM OKC, and that money wound up being misused, allegedly, by the leader of BLM OKC. According to the indictment, BLM OKC was supposed to use these national bail fund grants to post pretrial bail for individuals arrested in connection with protests for racial justice after the death of George Floyd. When bail funds are returned to BLM OKC, the National Bail Fund sometimes allowed BLM OKC to keep all or a portion of the grant funding to establish a revolving bail fund. In other words, the bail money was supposed to be earmarked and only used for bail, right? If other protesters wound up being arrested for destruction of property, for example. They were supposed to be, they would have access to this bail fund that would help them if and when that happened. Despite the stated purpose of the money raised and the terms and conditions of those grants, the indictment alleges that beginning in June of 2020 and continuing through at least October of 2025, Dickerson, that's the leader of BLM OKC, embezzled funds from Black Lives Matter OKC's accounts for her personal benefit. The indictment alleges Dickerson deposited at least $3.15 million in returned bail checks into her personal accounts rather than into BLM OKC's accounts. Among other things, Dickerson then used these funds to pay for, you ready for this? Recreational travel to Jamaica. Have you no empathy, man? And the Dominican Republic for herself and her associates. Tens of thousands of dollars in retail shopping. At least $50,000 in food and grocery deliveries for herself and her kids. A personal vehicle registered in her name. And 6 real properties in Oklahoma City, deeded in her own name or in the name Equity International LLC, an entity she exclusively controlled. The indictment further alleges that Dickerson used interstate wire communications to submit 2 false annual reports to AFGJ, the Alliance for Global Justice, on behalf of BLM OKC. Dickerson reported that she had used BLM OKC funds only for tax-exempt purposes. She did not disclose that she used funds for her personal benefit. On December 3rd, 2025, a federal grand jury returned a 25-count indictment. 20 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of money laundering. For each count of wire fraud, Dickerson faces up to 20 years in federal prison and a fine of up to $250,000. For each count of money laundering, Dickerson faces up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000, or twice the amount of the criminally derived property involved in the transaction. Now, of course, obviously, she will have her day in court. These allegations are just that, they're allegations. But it doesn't look good for Miss Dickerson. So, as we had said for many, many years, and in many, many instances, if you were donating to Black Lives Matter, you were not doing anything to help, quote unquote, Black lives or Black communities. If this doesn't shed some light on, and if you think this only happened in Oklahoma City, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. When I buy a house or deposit money into my bank account, they give me a Silkwood shower and a proctology exam. NX Witness says that in the live chat. Yeah, but when other people do it, it takes them 5 years to get into. So she's been doing this allegedly for 5 years. Black Lives Matter. A money laundering scheme. Massive money laundering scheme. How about that? Okay. So that's what I wanted to start off with, because if there was one group that really drove me crazy, it was Black Lives Matter in all instances. And there was even this case on Long Island in one instance where a pizza place, I Love Pizza in Wantagh, fired an employee because he called a delivery boy, called somebody the N-word. So they fired him. And then Black Lives Matter started protesting the pizza place. I was like, guys, they fired the guy who you don't like. Do you want them to rehire him? What are you protesting? They never knew what they were protesting. Racial injustice. Oh, well, they fired the guy who was making racial comments and using racial slurs. You know, when you protest something, you're generally protesting to change the outcome of something, right? Or to bring about change. I said, what are you protesting? Nobody could answer that. They got very mad when I asked that. They go, well, why don't you just mind your own business? I was like, well, when you start targeting small businesses because they did the right thing, it's kind of our business to stand up for them, right? You want to stand up for the truth. Why? Because ignoring problems
makes them go away.
Does not make them go away.
According to some people in the chat.
According to many people, by the way, because I posted a post on X yesterday and said, hey, to everybody who says just ignore Candace and she'll go away, try that the next time you have a flat tire. And people are like, that's a stupid analogy. I'm like, yeah, well, but how? My point is, If you have a problem and you just ignore it and pretend like there isn't a problem, it does not make the problem go away. It doesn't. Period. If you have a flat tire, you could ignore it really hard. I am ignoring it. It's not there. There is no flat. I'm using the power of the mind. Air is not winding up back in that tire, and that tire is still not going to be drivable tomorrow. All right? If you have an issue, if you have a problem, ignorance is not a solution to the problem. If you have, and you can acknowledge that a problem exists, pretending the problem doesn't exist does not get rid of the problem.
They're always like, you're just giving it press. No, this is just the news.
It's literally in the news.
Talk about stuff because that's what the news is.
Erica Kirk was on Fox News telling and addressing the conspiracy. Then she was on CBS News addressing the conspiracies. And again, ignoring these problems is how we wound up with the problem in the first place. We've been calling out Candace Owens for a year, saying, this is a problem. Leave her alone. Stop the infighting. F all of you who said that. Because now you're all on the right side of things, right? Now you realize it is a problem. Oh, if only we've been calling out the problem for a while. I mean, again, if you have cancer and you just deny that you have it, generally doesn't work out too well.
And they're acting, I'm seeing comments that are like, but she's getting money. If everyone would just stop, no one would listen. No, she would still have people listening to her. There would just be no one calling her out.
Over the last 3 months, I believe she gained over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. My post about her on X is not making her money, especially when I don't tag her. I can't because she blocked me. And we're calling out the problem. Going like this and saying, no, I don't see it. It's not a problem because I can't see it. Well, when you do this and you're like, oh, crap, there's a problem, right? Like, you could bury your head in the sand as far as you want, but when you come up for air, the problem that you were running from is probably going to be worse than when you started burying your head in the sand. Okay? All right. Is it really Mo time already?
Yes, it is.
All right. Here we go.
Isn't there a quote that's like, those who do nothing in the face of evil are just as bad as those doing the evil?
Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
Evil triumphs when good men do nothing. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. Yeah. People are like, no, we just got to stop.
I love how instead of blaming Candace, they're blaming the people calling out Candace.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay.
And I've been calling her out for a year, and they're like, you're not helping. Well, I'm trying to, but every time I do it, you're like, infighting. Give me a break. All right. Okay. Quick break. Let's get to a word from our friends at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. It's goldencrestmetals.com/Lima Foxtrot Alpha Tango Victor.
Hey everybody, Jeremy Harrell here. Look, I want to talk to you a little bit about gold and silver. When I was a kid, I always wondered what Fort Knox must look like. And when I was a kid, I always envisioned that when you would walk into Fort Knox, you would see just gold everywhere, literally raining gold, kind of like what you see behind me right now. Unfortunately, as a grown-up, I don't have that kind of imagination anymore, and I don't even have that much trust that Fort Knox has the 5,000 tons of gold that we're supposed to have there. Meaning that decades ago, we went off the gold standard in this country, which took the value of our dollar down to just mere pennies. And since our federal government doesn't want to go back to a gold standard currency, then it's time to us to take matters into our own hands. Have you ever thought about buying gold and silver? Have you ever thought about taking portions of your IRA or your 401k or your nest egg or your savings and putting it into gold and silver, either all or a portion of it? Have you ever wanted to purchase silver like this in bullion or premium? I know I do. And I know I wanted to take matters back into my own hands, which is why I have worked with Golden Crest Metals to do that. GoldenCrestMetals.com/LFA is going to be your go-to, absolutely transparent and trusted partner. Now, you can go to that website or you can call 888-308-4202. And what the good thing about this is they're going to guide you They're going to talk to you. They're going to guide you. They're going to give you all the answers to your questions. And there's going to be no hidden fees. It's completely transparent. No hidden fees. No pressure, no surprise markups whatsoever. Clients get to see everything before they purchase. They've even agreed to lower the minimum investment to the LFA audience in order to make sure that everybody has access to this. Free IRA storage, free insured shipping, and a full range of precious metals from gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. And if it's easier for you to just maybe click a QR code, well, guess what? We've got that available for you too. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Click this QR code on your screen and it'll take you right there. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Again, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA, or call 888-308-4202 today to reach these guys. They're going to be a great partner for you, just as they have been for me, and we absolutely recommend here at LFA TV, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
That is goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Golden Crest, for being a part of the show. We appreciate it. Next up, a word from our friends at Captain Shitty's. Captain Shitty's Salsa. Captain Shitty's Salsa. SCHIDDYS. Folks, experience the vibrant, sun-soaked flavors of the Southwest with this delicious salsa crafted with a meticulous blend of farm-fresh ingredients. There are no shortcuts here. Just vine-ripened tomatoes, crisp onions, a medley of zesty peppers, and a perfectly balanced spice blend that delivers an irresistible kick. This is a salsa for the flavor enthusiast. Its robust, chunky texture makes it the ideal companion for endless culinary adventures. Use it to transform simple tortilla chips into an extraordinary snack. Layer it onto sizzling carnitas tacos for an instant upgrade. Mix it into your morning scrambled eggs or use it as a dynamic marinade for grilled chicken. The complex layered flavors offer a perfect balance of heat and savory depth that mass-produced alternatives simply cannot match. Stop settling for bland dips and watery sauces. Seeds bold flavor and truly elevate your next meal or gathering. Discover the genuine taste of the Southwest, where every bite is an authentic explosion of flavor. That's at CaptainShitties.com. CaptainShitties.com. SCHIDDYS. CaptainShitties.com. All right. This happened yesterday. Tyler Robinson appeared in court. You guys see him smirking. It was pretty disgusting. I'm not going to play the video because it's just gross. But a positive development was just came from this whole situation that happened yesterday in the courtroom. Tyler Robinson, the suspect in the assassination of Turning Point USA co-founder Charlie Kirk, made his first in-person appearance in Utah. In a Utah courtroom. Robinson's parents and brother were there for support. 9 Utah County Sheriff's deputies were also present as security. In prior hearings in the case, Robinson had appeared via video or audio feed from jail. The main focus of this hearing was to address the request by Robinson's attorney and the Utah County Sheriff's Office that cameras not be allowed in the courtroom during the trial and that media access be strictly limited. By the way, because people saw Tyler Robinson in this setting, and he looked different than he did on a grainy video coming out of a jail cell. It started up the body double rumors, and that's not him, and look at the earlobes, and I swear that there needs to be a virus that wipes out those people. I'm sorry. I've had it with everybody's a freaking body double. There's people who think there are 9 versions of John Fetterman walking around the earth. There's also people who thought there were 14 versions of Joe Biden. You know, aging is a thing. Plastic surgery is also a thing. The crowd of everything must be something all the time. It's not to say it's never anything, but the everything must be something 24/7. It is exhausting, it is tiring, and it is nothing but a distraction. The good news that came out of the hearing yesterday is that there will be cameras allowed in the courtroom. However, as I watched this happen live yesterday, there was a violation already of the judge's decorum order on behalf of the media. Defense attorneys claimed that the media that were live streaming had aired images of Robinson in shackles, which can negatively influence the presumption of innocence, which he is entitled to by the Constitution. Defense attorneys also claim that the conversation that they had at their counsel table had been taped and images of their computers had been generated. Jeff Hunt, the attorney intervener representing the coalition of media interests, stepped up to address the alleged violation. The Judge Graff, ruled that the standing decorum order had been violated, but terminating filming at this hearing would be a disproportionate punishment. He made it clear that transmission of any hearing cannot begin until court is in session, must end when the court session is adjourned. Graff recessed briefly in order for cameras to be relocated away from the defense table to a location that was more suitable. Graff then warned that if further violations occurred, the court maintains the right to terminate any broadcast of the proceedings. So the media and those with the ability to live stream and transmit images and videos from these courtrooms, they need to be careful. They're treading on thin ice. Don't ruin this. America deserves the transparency in this case. And for some, it's not going to be enough. For some, it's not going to be enough. But for many, I believe it will be enough. And I want cameras in the courtroom, and that's why we want the cameras in the courtroom. We want the camera because sunlight is the best disinfectant. All right. Donald Trump pardoned Tina Peters. Does it matter? Is the real question. Well, symbolically, it's kind of cool, right? And I also think there's another angle at play here, right? Now, the president's right to pardon is absolute, but based off of what it says in the Constitution, only for offenses against the United States, which has been, and very important to say this, interpreted as only federal offenses. It has been interpreted that way, and so that is the way that every single U.S. president has treated his pardon power. However, Donald Trump pardoning or issuing a full pardon for Tina Peters, it does prevent federal charges from being brought against her, either now or in the future, right? But it also sets up a very interesting constitutional debate. Donald Trump called her a patriot who simply wanted to make sure that our elections were fair and honest. Peters was convicted after allegations of participating in a scheme to breach the security of Mesa County's election equipment in 2021, allowing unauthorized individuals to access and copy sensitive voting system data. Trump has repeatedly pledged to intervene on Peters' behalf, even though presidential pardons typically do not apply to state-level convictions. Trump had previously warned that he would retaliate against Colorado officials if Peters were not released. So there's the pressure standpoint of it. Filings show that Peters' legal team pressed Trump directly for intervention. In a 9-page letter dated December 7th, attorney Peter Tickton urged the president to grant Peters a pardon and argued that presidential clemency power does extend to state convictions. So he has a legal theory. Tickton acknowledged that the question of whether a president can pardon for state offenses has never been raised in any court. But he does believe that the U.S. Supreme Court should ultimately decide the issue. And that is the angle, I believe, that is here at play in the Tina Peters saga. Donald Trump is pardoning Tina Peters for symbolic value because a president's pardon has never applied to state-level convictions. But in the same respect, at the same time, a president has never tried to pardon somebody for state convictions ever. This is the first time in history. So the pardon power has been interpreted as the power to pardon anybody the president chooses of federal offenses. Convictions at the federal level. This has never been tried before. And I do believe that part of what he's trying to do is pressure the state of Colorado to release Tina Peters. But I also believe that Tina Peters' legal team and the president's team as well, they're trying to test the scope, the boundaries, and the reach of a presidential pardon. So this will possibly be debated in front of the Supreme Court, and we will get the first ruling in history with regards to firm boundaries being placed on the reach, the scope of presidential pardons, because this has never been ruled on before. There is no court precedent for a president pardoning somebody of state-level offenses because it's never been tried before. Therefore, there's no ruling against it either. So it's going to be very important to get this ruling on the record. Which way do I think the ruling is going to go? Based on how the Constitution is written and the pardon clause is written, where it specifically makes mention that the president can pardon anybody for offenses against the United States. That, to me, means federal offenses, not state offenses. But it has never been ruled on before. So this ruling will give us a lot more clarity, or at least make it official one way or the other. Now, I will go on record and say, as much as I want Tina Peters freed, I do. I don't believe the president should have the power to pardon somebody for state-level offenses. The state government, the state's Justice Department, the state law enforcement is a separate entity and should remain separate from the federal government, the federal DOJ, and federal law enforcement. 100%. So I don't think a president should be able to pardon somebody for state-level offenses. I believe that separation is important. All right. Let us take a quick break and talk to you about our friends over at Armra Colostrum, and then we will get to your calls at 631-527-4545. Give me a call about pardons. You want to do pardons? You want to talk about Tina Peters? Do you disagree that state-level offenses should be pardonable by the President of the United States? I want to hear from you. Or anything else that's on your mind. 631-527-4545. We'll get right to that in just a second. Before then, a word from our friends at tryarmor.com/LFA TV. You know I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity, my gut health, improve my fitness and metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance. And that is what Armra Colostrum can do for you, and a whole lot more. Colostrum is the very first nutrition that we receive in life, and it contains all the essential nutrients that our bodies need in order to thrive. But we stop getting colostrum. We stop encountering colostrum and taking it in after we're little teeny tiny people, little baby people. We need it again. It's good for you. Go ahead and get a hold of some of this stuff. It helps you reactivate your hair growth. It helps your skin glow. Can help fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism, and can help fuel your fitness, performance, and recovery. I hear a lot of people talking about colostrum. It's always gut health. It's good for the gut. A lot of this stuff, when you talk about probiotics, a lot of them, the probiotics are already dead by the time they reach your gut. Armor's a lot different. They have, over 400 bioactives that are alive because they use cold chain technology. So check it out at tryarmor.com/LFATV. That's TRYARMRA.com/LFATV for 15% off of your first order. It's tryarmor.com/LFATV. Lima Foxtrot Alpha Tango Victor. Tryarmor.com/LFATV. All right. 631-527-4545. 631-527-4545. Would love to hear from you as we close out another great week on LFA TV. It's always great, always fun on a Friday. So give us a call, 631-527-4545. I've got one coming in right meow. And let's see if it is connected. Is this the great conservative Autumn?
Yep, it is.
How are you doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
All right, we're doing well. What's going on?
So this doesn't really have anything to do with what you talked about today, but
That's okay.
In the town I grew up in, for the Christmas parade this year, they basically had a demon Santa.
What?
Yeah, Krampus. Apparently, it's a German thing, and it scares kids.
Krampus. Yeah, they made a movie about him. About that movie. That movie came out a few years ago. Krampus. I remember that. Yeah, that was very weird.
Yeah. Well, they had a display in the town I grew up with, but I'm saying this to the entire LFA family. Guys, no matter if you live in a red state or not, this stuff still happens, and it can be in your own backyard.
She's 100% right. You know, this is a good student right here. I love that message. It's not that it could happen in your backyard. It is happening in your backyard. Remember what happened in Idaho not too long ago, where you had these pro-abortion, pro-trans insurrectionists occupying the state capitol there. I mean, Idaho is one of the most conservative states in the country, and it happened there. So if it's happening in Idaho, It's happening in South Dakota. It's happening in Montana.
Yep.
It's happening in Tennessee. Where are you at?
I'm in Arkansas.
Arkansas. It's happening in Arkansas, okay? It's happening in places like that. So get involved, be aware, and expose. Great job. That's crazy that there was a demon
Yes.
Santa. Nuts.
Yeah, that was the main Santa. There wasn't a normal Santa there.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You do the same. Conservative Autumn. Appreciate that. We have a lot of calls coming in right now. I have a feeling this is all about those pardons. 631-527-4545. I'm going to refresh here and hopefully get one coming up here. It looked like I was going to try. And there we go. Let's get in there again. I think this is Heather from Kansas City, who said she wasn't going to be able to call in this week. But I think this is her.
I had a little
What's
bit of
up?
time, and we didn't have an extra rehearsal for this weekend, so hey, I thought I'd
There she is. By the way, I'm going to offer you my condolences over the season, the Chiefs season. Not good.
But you know what? I still am hopeful. You know.
Yeah, you could be hopeful. After all, you
I'm
know
a ride or die.
After all, you know the NFL's rigged for the Chiefs, right? That's what they say.
I know, right? Exactly.
The Jews
Well,
did it.
I don't know if you heard this, but I think there needs to be another Trump cameo because Joy Reid said Jingle Bells is racist now.
What?
So, yeah, she said that. I saw it on the news yesterday.
Jingle Bells is racist? How is Jingle Bells racist?
But here's my idea. Jingle Bells, Joy Reid smells. Or something.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's an idea for you. But yeah,
okay.
I went through the whole song in my head, and I'm like,
I did Jingle Bells a couple years ago. I did Jingle Bells a couple years ago. I did Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells, Jingle all the way.
Yeah.
Oh, what fun it is to know Paul Pelosi might be gay. Hey, we did that one a few years ago. Because, he had a hammer stuck up his, thing. I just, I don't know. I don't know why they think it's racist. The lights on the trees, I don't know. No idea.
No. Do these people ever smile?
No, they never do. No. Well, I appreciate that. That's wild.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
So we can just ignore it, right? I mean, we just ignore.
Ignore it, yeah. If you ignore Joy Reid, she'll stop being racist. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah, and what else was I going to say on that? I don't know much about the pardons. I've been really busy, like I said, so I haven't really paid attention to all that. But I did see how that kid, I'm going to call him a kid, in court was yesterday, and I'm very thankful they're going to have cameras. And I can't stand Candace Owens. I haven't since the first time I kind of heard her, so I'm kind of like,
Good. Well, and it's important that we keep calling that out, keep the pressure on her. People like Graham Allen doing a great job doing that too. So appreciate it, Heather. Thank you, and good luck to the Chiefs.
Sure.
I know they're still alive technically, but it's going to be tough.
Hey, it is what it is. I'm ride or die for my whole life. So,
me too. I'm a Jets fan. We just die. But that's it. Yeah. Thanks,
but
Heather.
I will say I am in the finals in my fantasy football league.
And good luck there as well. Great job.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. Heather from Kansas City. Always fun to hear from Heather. Here we go. 631-527-4545. It's Dylan from Iowa. What's up, Dylan?
What's up, Sean? How are we doing?
You tell me what's up. You tell me.
Well, Sean, we're busy here. Like I said in the interview in July, we're on the ground and we're talking to voters. So
cool. That's all. That's the best thing you can do right now. Lay the groundwork. Lay the groundwork.
Oh yeah. Crime is in the running right now for one of the biggest things for my district, as well as property taxes. So
gotcha. Good. Got to get rid of those property taxes.
Yep.
Property taxes are gross.
Yeah. Well, Sean, like I said in my interview, I'm going to introduce legislation day one to eliminate it by 2040 and actually put together a plan.
Smart.
And I've been trying.
People will love that.
I've been trying, and that's a promise. I've been trying to talk to our chair of appropriations here in Iowa, and like he's busy, but like I want to actually talk to him about actually implementing this plan because. Like we need local governments to actually balance their budgets and actually do their job.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
But
so we have a good mayor here in
Sean,
Rutherford County. Good mayor in Rutherford County does not want to raise property taxes to pay for this. So he's pretty cool. Joe Carr out here in Rutherford County. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Also, too, Sean, I've been talking to Chase Bowes about data and all that. Also,
Good.
we won our special election for that
Very
state
good.
house seat.
All right.
Republicans are now 2 and 3 in special elections
Okay.
here in Iowa. So first state house seats. But yeah.
Better than most places, that's for sure. So good job on that as well.
Yeah. But Sean, we're continuing to do the good work, and also too, I wanted to talk about the pardons. Sean, I'm actually in agreement with you. I don't think as much as I love President Trump, I don't think President Trump should have pardon power over a state.
And not just Trump. I don't believe the office of the president should have that power either. So it's not just about Trump, though, right? It's about the entire structure of government and the relationship between the state and federal government as well. To be able to do that. So that's where it is. That separation is important.
See, Sean, and I also wanted to mention too, because that reminded me, like our social programs that we have at the federal government. In my personal opinion, I don't think the federal government should be running those social programs. I think these
it should be done at the state level.
Pushed to churches, or the state level or churches, and the government should be able to work with the churches and actually be able to make this stuff work. That's how it worked before we even had these social programs, and we ran it just fine.
It should be done at the state level.
I don't get why the federal government has to do it. Yeah,
because they want to bloat and they want to pillage our tax dollars. But we got a bouncer. It's at 9:59, so we got to run. But Dylan, thank you so much. You keep up the great work over in Iowa. Okay, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Sean.
All right, there you go. We do got to go. Unfortunately, that was a good conversation. A lot of calls here. I think it's all about the pardons.
Magamo time if you want.
It is Magamo. Okay, I can't reach him.
Oh, the drama.
I can't reach him.
Drama.
I can't reach him. Booby trapped. There it is. Oh, that's loud. Whoa. Magamo, 900 on a Friday. Wow. What did we do to deserve that? Thank you so much, everybody who watched and listened. We appreciate it. We got Live from America coming up next here on LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. Rumble Rundown tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. On rumble.com/LFA TV, as President Trump says, we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never, ever surrender. If all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless us. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning. Same time, same place, rumble.com/LFA TV. 10 a.m. Eastern Time for Ungoverned. Until then, bang, gavel. Good night, everybody. Even though it's just the morning, we have to quote the great Pope of Greenland, John Fetterman. And as President Trump says, thank you for your attention to this matter. We will see you next week.